All right, let's kick off this deep dive looking at Facebook in 2025. We're going to be going through a bunch of research and articles, really focusing on what's working on this platform right now. It's funny, with all this talk about new platforms, Facebook is still a giant. It has 3 billion monthly active users. And that doesn't even include the other 300 million using all those other Meta apps daily.
You're absolutely right. Facebook is far from dead, that's for sure. And the users are spending more time on there too, about an 8% increase year over year. And I think a lot of that is because of their content strategy. They've totally shifted things up.
Yeah, totally. It's almost like they're taking a cue from TikTok, It's less about what your friends are doing and more about seeing content related to your interests. Actually, I think as much as half of what you see is from accounts you don't even follow.
That's right. And I think this change actually creates some really interesting opportunities for anyone who's creating content. It means you don't need millions of followers to get seen. It's kind of leveled the playing field,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's huge. So let's get into the specifics. In this new Facebook landscape, what kind of content is actually working? What's grabbing attention, getting those likes and shares?
Well, one thing that's really working well is short-form video, especially Reels. Those videos up to 90 seconds long are doing really, really well, especially if they have something educational or inspirational,
I see. So like quick tips or those inspirational stories, behind the scenes looks, that kind of thing. But I imagine like the hook is so important. You got to grab someone in those first few seconds, right?
Absolutely. Those first 3 seconds are critical. You need a hook that grabs someone scrolling through their feed.
Yeah.
And makes them want to keep watching. One interesting thing I've noticed, while Facebook is catching up with its video tools, Instagram still has better tools for making Reels.
Okay, interesting. So you'd recommend creating them on Instagram and then cross-posting to Facebook?
100%. You get to use the better tools and then reach that bigger Facebook audience.
Gotcha, okay. Now, moving away from video for a second, what about, image posts? Those classic image posts, are they still relevant with all the Reels and TikToks out there? I mean, I still like them, but with all this AI-generated content popping up, how do people make their images stand out?
Well, what makes you stop scrolling?
That's a good question. It's funny you ask that. I tend to be drawn to images that feel real, authentic. I'm less likely to stop for something that looks too polished or like obviously AI generated.
It seems like a lot of people feel that way. There's this desire for authenticity. People are kind of tired of the perfect curated feeds. They want to see real life.
So using real images, not AI generated ones, is a good move.
Definitely. It helps you cut through all the noise, connect with your audience on a deeper level. Speaking of AI generated content, one interesting thing we've seen is that text-based posts are doing well.
Yeah.
Especially when they have something, something eye-catching with them.
Oh, you mean like those posts with the colorful backgrounds? Yeah, those have been surprising me. They really pop.
Right. Like the simplicity works in their favor or something. And the algorithm seems to be favoring them too. Have you noticed any trends in what kinds of text posts do best?
That's a good question. I see a lot of them framed as questions, or like thought-provoking statements, things that encourage people to stop and engage, kind of like a mini conversation starter.
Yeah, that makes sense. People are drawn to content that makes them think. And, speaking of different post types, we've got to talk about stories. They're still right there at the top of the feed, but so many people seem to overlook them.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if it's because they seem so fleeting. Here today, gone tomorrow. But yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of potential with stories.
Oh, for sure. They're a great tool for testing out content ideas, maintaining visibility, and engaging with your audience more casually. You can try out different formats and stuff without the pressure of, creating something super polished.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like a testing ground.
Exactly. A little sneak peek behind the scenes.
People love that.
And, while we're talking video, I've actually noticed a resurgence of live video.
Oh, really? I thought live video was kind of like going out of style.
Is for some things, yeah. But for certain niches, it's doing really well. We're seeing good results for things like arts and crafts, cooking shows, DIY projects, even screen sharing for educational content, anything with that real-time element.
Yeah, I see. That makes sense. And think about live shopping. That seems to be coming back too.
For sure. And with how Facebook's algorithm is changing, I think live shopping will only get more important.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something that's been causing a stir. Facebook Insights, specifically how they're calculating views now.
Oh, yeah. The 1 millisecond view. Kind of controversial, isn't it?
Very much so. Because technically, someone only needs to glance at your post for it to count as a view. So it can really inflate the numbers.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you make sense of the data? What should people be paying attention to?
Well, instead of just the overall view count, you got to dig deeper. Look at your retention graphs, especially for videos. See how long people are actually watching.
Yeah. Okay. And don't just focus on your follower count, right?
Right. Look at your reach beyond your immediate followers. And here's something interesting. One of the strongest indicators of potential reach is the number of private message shares.
Wait, really? Private shares are important. Why is that?
It seems like when people share your content privately, it sends a strong signal to the algorithm. Like it sees it as valuable and engaging.
Wow, that's fascinating. So if people are sending my posts to their friends in DMs, that's a good sign.
Yeah, a great sign. It means your content's resonating. And it could reach a much bigger audience.
That's cool. Okay. So private shares, retention graphs, and reach beyond followers.
Gotcha. Now, I know a lot of people are curious about professional mode, on personal profiles. To be honest, I'm a little confused about what that even is. Is it like having a business page within your personal profile?
In a way, yeah. Professional mode gives you metrics, scheduling tools, and even some ways to make money, all within your personal profile.
So you can build a following and maybe even earn income, but without having to create a separate business page.
Exactly.
Interesting. Are there any unique features professional mode offers that you wouldn't get on a regular business page?
There's one that's often overlooked, special layouts for multi-photo posts. You can create like visual collages with different frames and colors, really make your content stand out.
That's cool. I have to check that out. Okay, so we've talked about video, images, text posts, stories. Is there anything else we're missing?
Well, we can't talk about Facebook in 2025 without talking about AI.
Ah, right. AI, it's everywhere these days. What are some of the ways Facebook's using AI that we should know about? Well, for example, there's automated comment summaries. It's designed to give you a quick overview of long comment threads, kind of like a TLDR for Facebook comments.
Right, okay.
You get the gist without having to read through hundreds of comments.
Yeah, that's helpful, especially if a post goes viral and has tons of comments. But Facebook's also experimenting with AI-modified images, right?
Yes, they are.
And that's where things get a bit more, shall we say, interesting.
Definitely raises some eyebrows,
Right.
especially in terms of, privacy and control over our own images. I actually had a client who was pretty surprised to find that Facebook had modified a childhood photo of hers. They added shoes and changed the background without her consent.
Wow, that's a bit unsettling.
Yeah.
But on the advertising side, AI seems to be offering some pretty powerful tools. I've heard about AI-powered ad copywriting that can generate different versions of ad copy from just a few keywords.
It's incredibly useful for A/B testing. You can quickly test different messages and see what works. And then there's AI image enhancement, which can place your product in different contexts, or even like touch-up images.
Yeah, okay. But I thought you couldn't create entirely AI-generated images for ads.
Not yet, no. There are limitations. But the existing AI tools can still be very helpful. And then there's Advantage Plus, which is like a game changer for reaching new audiences.
Advantage Plus, what's that?
It's kind of like a discovery engine for ads. You can suggest your target audience, but the AI goes beyond that, identifies potential customers you might not have considered.
Oh, I see. So it helps you like expand your reach.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
It is. But even with all these powerful tools, it's important to remember that Facebook, at its core, is a platform for human connection.
Right, for sure. So with all of that in mind, what does a winning Facebook marketing strategy look like in 2025? What are the key things people should be focusing on?
I think it all comes down to creating content that people genuinely want to share, especially in those private messages we were talking about. Content that sparks conversation, provides value, makes people feel something.
So think about the kind of content that people would want to share with their friends and family.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment with different topics and formats. Use stories as a testing ground. See what your audience likes.
Yeah, that's a good point. And always adapt your content for different platforms, right?
Absolutely. What works on Instagram might not work on Facebook.
Right.
It's all about understanding the little differences and tailoring your content.
This has been super insightful. Thank you. I feel like we've already covered so much. What should we dive into next?
I think it's time to explore the human side of things a bit more. We know what types of content are working, but how do we actually create that content? What are the strategies and tactics that'll help us really connect with our audience and drive that real engagement? I think that's what we should explore next.